Howdy, Possum Patty here, and today I'm going to put a little powwow into my Hello Autumn journal. Come on along. So this is my Hello Autumn journal with the Dollar Tree cover. It's got a bubble wrap inside there, and this is all material from the Dollar Tree, as are the flowers and the words and the paint and the glitter glue. Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree, Dollar Tree. Some hand sewing, some machine stitching, all put together with some paper, scrapbooking paper from Michael's. And these are older papers, some of them last year and some of them maybe the year before, I'm not sure. This is a newer pack, but these are older ones. Don't know if they're still available. And as you can see, this is a 12 by 12 cut down to fit in here. Sometimes I don't know what to do with the 12 by 12s because they don't fit in any of the journals that I make. I know they're for scrapbooking, but I figured I could put it in the middle and I could leave the words and put a picture here or cover it up. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. But then I have all these blank pages and I just journal on them. So when I make these foundation pages, and there's 6 in each, 2 signatures, I'm kind of liking this size because I can go through this journal a little quicker and get it done and then have fun making another cover. So just journaling. I skipped this page because I like these gourds and I might leave this here and put a picture or do some journaling there. And I went ahead and did a page about the ferns turning yellow in the fall there. And this was a stationery set that Denny had sent. So now I want to do some Schemitzun pages. This is the Mashantucket Pequot Tribal Nation Feast of the Green Corn and Dance. I just noticed this is a headdress up here, and I could use that on the page maybe, or save that for something. I like the children down here, but this whole thing is not going to fit on the page the way it is. So we're going to have to do some chopping. I do have this paper, which is tall grass. And all corn is tall, fancy grass. And I have this. I like this one too. So I might just start with this one as a background and then cut this up. And just place these elements on here like an intro page. But I'm going to do a few pages. I have a couple of pictures I need to print out and put on another page. And I want to talk about the Three Sisters Garden. I could do a journal card here too. So I gave a little preview about Schemitzun. Now, Mr. Possum, I have not been to this, for like 20 years. We did go a long time ago when we lived in Connecticut, but then we moved to Pennsylvania, and now we're back in Connecticut. So, it's a lot different than it was when we first went. When we first went, they didn't have a dedicated powwow ground like they do now. I think it was held in a big arena, and a lot of tribes had come. A lot of nations were represented. So it was a different experience for us. We had a good time. So the new grounds is much better. You know, when it's in a big arena, it's kind of like, you know, they're putting on a show, whereas they're actually having a powwow, which is a lot of prayers and dance and songs and drumming and contests and a lot of fun. Some serious business too. I didn't get as many dancing pictures as I wanted to, but mostly the grand entrance. Mostly the grand entrance, which was where the flags come in, and they have the flag representing a lot of the different nations, and the American flag, and usually there's elders or chiefs or veterans or representatives from different nations, all, well, I guess that one's done. At the front, and then, you know, usually the nations or the particular kind of dancers come out in groups, and in the center of the field there's a fire pit. They burned some sage in there. And so they sort of come in and spiral in like that. And I think they were facing north. I think north is the way they come in, and they spiral around, and then the flags were facing north. I believe that's how it was. I could look that up. And then they keep coming in, and then the women make a circle around the outside, and then the men around the inside, and then they have the flags. And they do some ceremonies. And then they get to the dancing and the drumming. Oh, I mentioned yesterday that there were 9 drumming groups there. That is a lot of drumming groups. Wow. Lots of drumming today. Well, today too. It's going on today, yesterday and today, last night. I would have liked to have seen more dancing, but they didn't start till 1 o'clock, and in my experience, they've always started at noon. So I don't know why they didn't start till 1. So we kind of sat in the bleachers for an hour before it even started. But Mr. Possum saved his seats, and I walked around to all the vendors. I didn't take a whole lot of pictures and videos. I don't know why. I think I would have. So there's, when you first come in, there's a big giant sign. Giant sign. And the artwork on that is usually very, very nice. Let me get something to spread this around with. I got all these old gift cards here. And so there's a picture of me standing in front of the big sign for the Green Corn Festival. And then there's the vendors, a couple rows of vendors. And then I was talking yesterday in the back, they have a wigwam set up. And one lady was working on some specific crafts. And one was the weaving food baskets. And it was a special kind of weaving. She was very nice. Her name was Julia. I think. Julia. And Very tight weaving. She said take a long time to do this special weaving, and very tight weaving that you could put dry foods in there. You know, keep them for over the winter and things. I guess you got to go out and collect your grains and stuff, your wild rices and things like that. And she said in the 1600s, well, the nation she was from was in the Massachusetts area, so she said they were like ground zero. And once the colonists came in, they kind of like didn't have time to do this weaving because it takes a very long time, she said. And so they had to do things more on the fly, and they didn't have a lot of time to do this special weaving, and it was almost a lost art. So a lot of these nations are actually trying to revive some of the lost arts from, you know, hundreds of years ago. Looking for the right cover here. And yeah, so she's a teacher up in New England. There were other arts and crafts going on too. Gourds and stoneworking, things like that. You can see more of that at the museum. Which we've been to. I gotta look for those pictures. I got a lot of nice pictures from the museum. Now they've got to be around here somewhere. I think I'm going to make this go all the way across because I like this background. I was going to cut it out more, but I don't think I am. Make that like a banner, like right across there. Leave a little of this poking up. I do love this background with this. I do want to put the date. I want to fit these kids on there. This is just going to be like a introduction. Oh, should I put a picture of me on here? Schemitzun. All right, stand by. Well, sorry about that, but I had a phone call and I kept gluing while I was talking on the phone. And all I did was take the main elements off of the front cover of that brochure. That was from the museum, Pequot Museum. And glued them down on here. I like it. The cover was too big, so I just had to take a lot off of it. And now I just have the main elements here on this page. I love it on that background. So on the next page, I printed out this picture. There's Possum Patty right there. And this is the beautiful tall banner when you first walk in to tell you about Schemitzun. And then there's like an eagle and like a sun. And there's the corn on each side. And there's the fire. There's two warriors dancing around the fire. And then there's the boxwood symbol down in the corner. But anyway, I'm like, this is such a beautiful banner. And you can see how big it was because there's me, right? And I'm standing right in front of it. Huge, huge banner. I said, oh, that was so pretty. So I tried printing it out on some cardstock. And I think this is much better than this. Although I could put the picture there too. I could do like I did on some of the other pages and have both. Cover my face so that I'm little there. Schemitzun. I don't know. Should I do this? Should I just do this? Oh, Possum Patty looking tall on this one. I stretched the picture out. I look tall. Tall and thin, yes. But do I want to put this on here too? Okay, so we're getting there. We got the brochure, got the entrance banner, got Possum Patty squished way down there. I covered up my tall, thin self, but that's okay. That's okay. So now we're getting on to the Three Sisters garden. And I'm looking at my phone. I think I took more pictures of the corn than I did of the dancers. And maybe because I've been to a lot of powwows and I've seen a lot of dancers and I love the dancing, I love the singing, I love the drumming. But I haven't seen too many Three Sisters gardens. So maybe that's what I was fascinated about. Oh, this is gorgeous. I'm loving this spread. Okay. So this is just grass, but as I said yesterday, what is corn? Corn is fancy grass. So when you're eating corn, you are eating what? You're eating grass seeds, right? Right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill in behind this pocket before I glue it down. And then I'm going to glue this down. It's going to take some paper engineering. Where did I make my mark? Over there. So the Three Sisters in the tradition are corn, of course, squash, and beans. And these are three traditional native crops. I'm looking for. So here's my brochure from the museum. So the squash, one sister, the squash is Ashkutashqua. Ashkutashqua. And the beans are Mushkwasitash. Mushkwasitash. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. And the corn, which is maize, is Weewakum. 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 So I thought I would cut that out. I know this has to do with the membership of joining the museum, but what I want are the words, and maybe where it says, ooh, my gosh, Mr. Possum sneezing. Mr. Possum sneezing. Three Sisters community. So I'm going to cut this out and then put a picture of the squash, the beans, and the corn on a journaling card, I guess. And put that in the pocket. Well, the reason it's called the Three Sisters is because they grow these three crops together and don't have like neat rows of corn and then a patch of squash and then some beans on a pole. They didn't do that. They grew them all together like a family, like the Three Sisters. And so you have your tall stalks of corn, and there was actually some green ears of corn there. And then what they do is they plant the beans at the base of the corn stalk so that the beans can climb up on the corn stalk. So you don't have to put any poles for your pole beans. Just the beans climb up on the corn stalks, which I think is pretty clever. I think I'll make it about that big. And then the squash grows across the ground in between the corn plants. Now, looking at this garden, it was pretty good. Oh, in this garden, they had some sunflowers around. With some big sunflowers. But, and I'm not an expert gardener by any means, but what I can see from the garden, they did a really good job, but what I can see from the garden is that there wasn't a lot of room for the squash. The squash kind of tried to grow out across the lawn. So I think it was just a little too crowded. A little too crowded. So if I had done it, I would have planted the corns. So I think they actually did it more in a mound with the corn in the middle and then the beans growing up and the squash around. But they did a pretty good job. They did a pretty good job to demonstrate how to grow the three things together. So I did not see any squash. And I saw a few little beans. Well, the squash had flowers, but I didn't see any squashes. And the beans had flowers, and I saw a couple little beans, and there were some green ears of corn. And in one spot I saw somebody threw some oysters and some oyster shells in there. But oyster shells are calcium. Makes a good fertilizer. I think they probably used things like that as fertilizer back in the day. I know they used like fish and things from the ocean made good fertilizer. So it's probably something they did. If you know any more about this subject, feel free to join in below in the comments section. I am not a Native American, although my grandmother married into the Blackfoot. And I don't know much about him. My mother never talks about him because this would be my step-grandfather. So what I probably should do is some genealogy on him, because my grandmother was married to him. I know he was a veteran of the Navy. And I know they got stationed in Japan after post-World War II. Well, I've kind of been in and out of here all day. So if this video is a little bit disjointed, if I tell a story I've already told, that's because I started this quite a few hours ago. My pocket is dry, so I apologize for that. So my brain is helter-skelter, scattered all over today, especially when I'm in and out doing stuff. So I started this, got on the phone, finished this while I was on the phone, and then I started this, and then the computer, the printer we use for the computer was getting low on inks. Mr. Possum said, just go online and order some more. So I stopped what I was doing. I went and I ordered some ink for the printer, and then I got that done. Then I started this, and it was time to go cook dinner, but in the meantime my pocket has dried, and I was just cutting out those names for the three sisters from that brochure. And I was going to make a journaling card with what? I like this paper here. Let's see if I got some of that. This is the greenery. This is really a summer pack, I think, but it it can go well for the end of summer, beginning of fall, because it's got very muted tones. This paper kind of reminds me of a native design. Whoops, I keep hitting my camera lately. So, let's see, I need something that wide. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut this down and make a journaling card. And I still have to print out the pictures too. Print out the pictures to put on this journaling card. And then I might do one more page, but maybe not tonight. Because I want to do the lady who was making the baskets. Oh, and I had this picture. Now this picture is, I told you my brain's all over the place today. These ladies are doing the harvest dance, and you can see their baskets there with the corn, and I think they got gourds in there. Corn and gourds in there. Now at the festival, I saw them do this dance, but it was the younger girls who were learning how to do the dances went out and did them. They were good, and there wasn't a drummer for this dance. There was a singer, so you might hear his voice in the background. So he's singing. So I want to put this on there, and I want to print out the pictures of the three sisters, and I want to put those words. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, I left you again for a while. This is getting really funny here, but so I took this to be the journaling card because I like this paper, and I decided to take the scrapbook paper that has these big baskets on it. This is also Michael's. It's like seasonal. There's like a couple of pages that goes across a few seasons, all the seasons actually. Not holiday, just seasons. So this one's kind of end of summer going into fall. And I thought this would be very appropriate to put pictures of the food in, and the lady weaving the basket. Maybe I can get it all on one card. So I made it like a little booklet, and then I decided I would take this over to the sewing machine and put this really nice zigzag pattern on there. I thought that was pretty appropriate. But I wanted to change the color, so I had to get a new spool of thread for the sewing machine. And for some reason, this thread kept breaking. I don't know why. But I changed the pressure setting, and it seemed to work fine. And it was really funny because I said, I'm going to start at the back, because it seems like I always have trouble when I start. So I went across the back, and it worked perfectly fine. I got around to the front, and it kept messing up. So now the messing up part is on the front, so I thought that was really funny. Yeah, so I sewed all around with this really nice stitch, and then I decided to sew across the middle and put some of this eyelash trim on there, yarn actually. Kind of reminds me of the top of the corn. So I printed out the corn pictures, and you can see all the silk there at the top of the corn. And this is a small ear of corn right there. And this is the squash vine, and this on the ground, and this is the beans going up the corn. You can see the corn stalk in the background. Whoop, sorry. Corn stalk in the background, and then the vines going up, and there are a few little beans right there, and then you can see the flowers where some more beans will come. So I was thinking of, move my printer out of the way, putting the ladies on the front like that. Should I back them with something? Maybe. And then I'm going to I'm trying to use my scraps. I got so many scraps, my gosh. Back these with a little bit of scrap paper here. I found some brown and some dark brown. Some of this. I think this one goes better. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get all that done, and it's going to be real fussy, take me a while. So I'm going to disappear again just for a nanosecond for you, and it'll probably take me a little while to get this done. Okay, progress report. The cat is in here bothering me. I put that nice background because it kind of reminded me of weaving, and I did distress it, and then I decided to distress around the edges. I'm using Vintage Photo, of course. And then I just wanted to show you this. Some people don't like when you sew on paper. Let's find a better example over here. Focus, focus. Because the white core of the paper shows through like that. I don't know if that's coming across. It's getting dark out now. Anyway, you wind up with these little white bubbles. And some people don't like that. So some people like to rub ink or something across them. They don't bother me. But because I'm already distressing, I thought I would try it. It kind of goes with the pictures anyway, right? That just darkens them up a little bit. It looks fine. Okay, so that was your little progress report there. Now I'm going to try and finish this up with the kitty in my lap. Well, this turned into a project, as does everything I do. You may have noticed that, right? So, the front of the card has the green corn harvest dance. Get my little corn silk at the top. Not exactly the right color, but you work with what you have. Inside, ooh, I put it upside down. Oh, you know what? I was using her as the front. Okay, well, I just changed the whole thing. This is the this is the front of the card. And on the front of the card, we have Julia Marden. She's an Aquana Wampanoag. And she's an artist, and there's all her goodies. And her Facebook is Blue Jays Visions. And she's from Vermont. And she was making these food preservation baskets. And if you can see right there, that is a real horseshoe crab that she made this little basket out of. I love that. I love that. I love that. I think I'm going to trim this off here. Maybe. See, you're never done. You're never done. You're never done. Okay, so this is the front with Julia Marden on there. And then you open it up, and it says Three Sisters. I've got the corn, the beans, and the squash. And what I did here was I cut the picture. Instead of trying to bend it so it fits in the fold, I just cut it and glue it on each side of where that stitching is. So now there's plenty of room to fold it. Can you see that? So I wanted it in the middle of the seam, but I didn't want to have to fold the picture and everything. So this works perfectly well. And then on the back we have the dancers. So as long as we start with her in the front, we're good, because if we start with the dancers, we are upside down. I'm really good at doing upside down. Okay. Well, there she is. Okay. And here is the Hello Autumn. And now it is getting late at night, and this has been quite the project. But we have not one, not two, but 3 pages powwow pages. We have 3 powwow pages, and there we go. Oh, you know what? I'll probably wind up putting something down here, but that'll be maybe another day. Because I bet you I have something I could put here. I bet you I have something to put right there. But for right now, I'm just going to thank you for coming along today and wish everybody happy junk journaling. Bye-bye.